All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to step inside what Google Cloud calls its AI workshop. Now, think about that for a second. This isn't just a random pile of tools. It's a whole, fully equipped space, right? It's designed so that anyone, and I mean anyone, from hardcore developers to business leaders, can get in there and start building the next wave of AI apps. So let's grab our hard hats and take a look inside. So, if you're a developer or maybe a business leader, you've totally felt this, right? The whole world of generative AI, it's just exploding. There are new models, new APIs, new techniques popping up every single day. And yeah, it's incredibly powerful, but man, it's also overwhelming. Just knowing where to even start, that can feel like the biggest hurdle of them all. And this is where Google's whole workshop idea comes in. It's their answer to that chaos. Instead of just dumping a big confusing box of parts on your desk and saying good luck, they've actually organized everything. It's a complete workshop with different stations and specialized tools for everyone. You could be a seasoned AI engineer or a business analyst who's just dipping their toes in. There's a spot for you here. Okay, so first up, let's get the lay of the land. What's actually in this AI workshop?
Right. So the heart of any workshop, the place where all the real work gets done, that's the workbench. And for Google Cloud, that central workbench, that's a platform called Vertex AI.
So what is Vertex AI? Well, it's basically the foundational platform that brings everything together in one spot. We're talking the models, the tools you need to tweak and customize them, the interfaces for building out your new apps, the whole shebang. It's really your command center for everything from old-school machine learning to the brand-new, cutting-edge generative AI.
And the really cool thing is that getting started is surprisingly simple. The whole workflow really boils down to just 3 basic steps. First, you grab a model. Then, you test it out with a few prompts to see what it does. And finally, you customize it. You tune its behavior so it does exactly what you need it to do. That's it.
And the models you get to start with, it's incredible. You've got these massive, powerful foundation models right at your fingertips. We're talking Gemini, which can handle text, images, you name it. Palm 2 for really advanced tech stuff. Then you've got specialized models like Imagine, which is purely for creating images. And if you need something a bit more lightweight and flexible, you can grab an open source model like Gemma. The options are huge.
And what's really smart is how this workbench is set up for different kinds of people, different roles. You can see here a business user. They can jump right into Vertex AI Studio. It's a low-code, graphical interface perfect for just designing and testing prompts. But then, say you're a product team. You might use Agent Builder to visually map out a whole chatbot conversation. And then, of course, for the ML engineers and data scientists, you've got notebooks. That's where you can go deep, write your own code, and have total control.
Okay, so we're at the workbench. Now it's time to open up the toolbox, right? Every job needs the right tool, so let's see what specialized options we have. The first place you're probably going to look is what's called the model garden. Honestly, you can think of it like a giant, super organized hardware store for AI models. It's this one central place where you can browse, discover, test out, and then immediately deploy a ton of different models for your project. And this is the really key part, flexibility. You are not locked into only using Google's models. Not at all. You get direct access to some of the best open source models out there. Llama, Mistral, you name it. Plus, models from other partners like Anthropic. It's all about giving you the freedom to pick the absolute best tool for your job, no matter who made it.
All right, let's talk about some of those specialized tools. What if you're a developer? What if your job is to write code all day? Well, for you, there's Cody. And this is an AI model that's been specifically fine-tuned for one thing: programming code. It understands it, it generates it, and it can even explain it.
Seriously, it's like having an expert pair programmer sitting next to you, 24/7. It can spit out all that boilerplate code you hate writing. It can look at a really confusing chunk of code and just explain it to you in plain English. It can even help you modernize old apps by translating code from one language to another. It's a huge time saver. Okay, so what if you're not a coder? What if you need to create visuals? Well, for that, there's Imagine. This is an incredibly powerful tool for turning your words, literally just your text descriptions, into pictures. And we're not talking about clunky clip art. This model generates stunning, high-quality, photorealistic, or artistic images.
So you could type in something as simple or as weird as this, and boom, you get a unique visual you can use for a marketing campaign or a mock-up for a new product, or really just for playing around and prototyping ideas. It basically turns anyone with an idea into a visual artist.
So, having a great workshop with all these cool tools is one thing, but here's the billion-dollar question, right? How do you actually take all this power and put it to work in your real day-to-day job?
Well, one of the most powerful ways is by putting the AI right inside the tools you already use every single day. Google is baking these capabilities directly into Workspace. So imagine, you're in a Google Doc and you just click a button to summarize it. Or you're in Gmail and it drafts a perfect reply for you. Or you open up Slides, give it a topic, and it just builds the presentation. This is how you make generative AI useful for everyone in the company, not just the techies.
Okay, but that brings up the biggest question for any real business, right? That's all great, but how does the AI know about my stuff? My company's private data. You don't want it answering questions with random facts from the internet. You need it to use your internal reports, your knowledge bases. And the answer to that? It's a really powerful technique called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or just RAG. And how RAG works is actually pretty brilliant. It's a three-step process. First, you feed the system all your private data, your documents, your manuals, whatever. It processes and indexes all of it. Then, when someone asks a question, the system doesn't just ask the AI. First, it acts like a super-fast research assistant. It dives into your documents and retrieves just the specific relevant facts needed to answer that question. And then, in the final step, it hands those facts to the AI model and says, "Here, generate an answer using only this information." It keeps the AI grounded in your reality.
And this is why RAG is such a game changer for businesses. First off, it massively cuts down on AI hallucinations, when the model just makes stuff up, because it's forced to use your facts. Second, updating its knowledge as easy as just dropping in a new document. And most importantly, it dramatically lowers the risk of getting wrong answers. It turns a generic, creative AI into a reliable, trustworthy expert on your business.
Okay, last but definitely not least, let's talk about maybe the most critical part of any professional workshop, the safety rules. Because when you're working with powerful tools and sensitive enterprise data, you absolutely need clear guardrails. We're talking security, privacy, and governance. So for this, Google has something called the Secure AI Framework, or SAFE. The easiest way to think about this is like the official safety manual or the blueprint for the entire workshop. It gives you clear, practical guidance on how to build and deploy your AI systems securely, making sure you're doing it responsibly right from the very beginning.
And this isn't just a document. It's backed up by real, concrete, enterprise-grade features. So first and foremost, your data is your data. It's kept completely isolated and is never used to train Google's models, period. You get total control over who can see or use your AI apps. Everything that happens is logged, so you have an audit trail for compliance. And the whole thing is built to meet tough global standards like HIPAA and GDPR, which, if you're in an industry like healthcare or finance, is absolutely non-negotiable.
So, there you have it. We've taken a full tour of the workshop. We've seen the central workbench, Vertex AI. We've opened up the toolbox to look at specialized tools like Cody and Imogen, and we've reviewed the safety rules that keep everything secure. Now, there's really only one question left, and it's the most exciting one. Now that you've seen what's inside, what are you going to build?